It has been rumoured that we could see a heel turn for one of WWE's current championship title holders, that being the WWE United States Champion Apollo Crews on Monday Night Raw. Now, this week on Raw, we saw Apollo Crews pick up a win over Shelton Benjamin, but he did use a bit of a heel tactic. Now, after Shelton Benjamin had attempted to use the ropes to win the match, Apollo Crews would in fact use the ropes for leverage and win the match. This has now led to rumours that Apollo Crews could soon be turned heel after an earlier backstage segment with MVP. Now, before the match started and before he had his match with Shelton Benjamin, MVP approached Apollo Crews backstage and offered to help take him far in the company and to have him focused on making the right amount of money for his matches. Now, Apollo Crews did turn down the offer, but MVP did indeed grab the United States Championship and shove it in Apollo Crews' chest, telling him the only way that he will keep his gold is with Montel Vontavious Porter in the corner of Apollo Crews. Now, this has led to quite a lot of social media discussion about MVP building up a potential stable, which could include the likes of his current client at the moment, Bobby Lashley, the United States Champion Apollo Crews, and in fact Shelton Benjamin himself. Now, actually, this story has quite a lot of legs here, because WWE released a video after Monday Night Raw this week of MVP approaching Shelton Benjamin backstage, and he discussed the non-title loss to Apollo Crews, but MVP said, "You know what, I think I can get you another shot against Apollo Crews. I think, Shelton Benjamin, I can get you a shot at the United States Championship." And he said, "Look, I think you should consider my offer. Think it over." And then MVP walked away as Shelton Benjamin looked on and looked to be considering the offer. Now, Shelton Benjamin would tweet about this later on, saying, quote, "At the 305 MVP, very tempting proposition." Now, this was even further extended with MVP tweeting an Instagram video from the WWE locker room in which he walked into Apollo Crews' locker room, picked up the United States Championship to have a look at. When Apollo Crews walked in, they had a few tense words, and then MVP left after saying it would be a shame if Apollo Crews lost the WWE United States Championship. Now, they've been teasing a potential MVP stable for quite a while in WWE now, though. They teased having a stable with NXT superstars Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink, on Monday Night Raw. That kind of died a death, and absolutely it should have. Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink were not the right people for MVP to be looking after. They're not ready yet. They're not a draw. Just no. I'm way behind, establishing new stars and youth and all of that sort of stuff. But you've got a million other stars from NXT to pick from. They're not the guys. Now, there were rumours that MVP could work with the tag team, or the newly established tag team of Cedric Alexander and Ricochet at one point, a bit like the Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink rumours. They died pretty quickly as well. It would appear that Vince McMahon has completely given up on Cedric Alexander and Ricochet at this point. And it's a shame, but Vince McMahon has these ways. Once he's given up, he's given up. Apollo Crews previously was one of them. Now he's made his way back. Let's just hope Cedric Alexander and Ricochet can make their way back also. But Dave Meltzer has actually commented on this as well. And you remember there was a few weeks ago, this was prior to Apollo Crews actually winning the United States Championship, WWE had previously wanted to turn Apollo Crews heel, because this rumour about a heel turn for Apollo Crews has been going on for a while now. And the intention, even back then, was for MVP to be Apollo Crews' manager. And it sort of seemed like at the time that they missed their opportunity to turn Apollo Crews heel. He was going to have a United States Championship opportunity. He hurt his knee, or he's going to be in the Money in the Bank and he hurt his knee, and all of this sort of stuff. But Dave Meltzer has said that he wouldn't be surprised if the company did turn him heel. I thought, and I would agree with Dave Meltzer here, that I thought the right time to do that would when he suffered the knee injury. And I think that was the original plan, but it didn't happen. But I'm with a lot of people. I'm with the discussion on social media here. I think that it would be right, and I think it would be interesting, and I think it would be great for Apollo Crews if he indeed does turn heel and sides with MVP. I think it would be great for Apollo Crews to do that. I also think it would be great for Shelton Benjamin to join that stable with Bobby Lashley, with MVP, and with Apollo Crews. And MVP, I've spoken about this on social media quite a few times now. MVP is one of, we talk about Edge having one of the best and biggest comeback stories of this year, even now we include Christian. But MVPs have one of the best comeback stories this year, right? Comes back for a one-off appearance at the Royal Rumble, has what he called his retirement match the following night on Raw against Rey Mysterio, gets offered a producer role. Obviously, the pandemic changes things. He's now just an on-screen character, or as WWE would describe Paul Heyman, an in-ring performer. And now he's one of the most featured characters on Monday Night Raw. He was managing the number one contender for the WWE Championship at Backlash. His promo work's been great. His segments have been great. I think he's just been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal this year. Nobody can touch MVP at the moment. And ever since we've had MVP start working with Bobby Lashley has been great, more relevant, more destructive, and a better character than he's been in his entire WWE run since he returned in 2018. And I would be interested in seeing a stable of Apollo Crews, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin led by the mouthpiece that was MVP. I'm a big fan of having stables as long as they're booked properly. We've seen WWE completely mismanaged stables in the past. You look at the stable prior to WrestleMania and post WrestleMania of Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory with Zelina Vega. That was booked horrendously. You go all the way back to the NWO and WWE, that was booked horrendously. If it's not DX or Evolution that involves Triple H, WWE doesn't have the best run of booking stables in WWE. Look at the Nexus. But if they can book and use this stable properly, if it happens, I'd be interested. It would certainly add a different dynamic to Monday Night Raw, which isn't a bad thing. Now, Raw was fantastic this week, or it was better. Maybe fantastic's going a bit too far, maybe that's a stretch, but Raw was better this week. And having a dominating stable and a different stable, that could add a different dynamic to Monday Night Raw. And any change you can make to Raw for the better, to make it more watchable, I'm all for. Now, I know some people are going to be rolling their eyes because it's a stable full of black superstars, and some people will question, well, should you really be putting all the black superstars together in the current climate that we're at of everything in 2020? My response to that would be WWE are likely looking to capitalize on real-world events. We've seen the protests, we've seen the Black Lives Matter movement across the world, not just in the United States. Predominantly, of course, it's a big thing in the United States, but globally it's a huge movement. So it wouldn't surprise me if WWE did that to try and capitalize on that. We saw them release the statement. Look, WWE's history when it comes to racial equality is sketchy at best. Do I need to mention that they brought back Hulk Hogan? Do I need to mention some of the comments by Vince McMahon in the past and some of the gimmicks that have been given to stars in the past? The less I said about that, the better. We also had Akira Tozawa suddenly dressed up as a ninja on Monday Night Raw and at Backlash this week. So that says all you need to know about Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon's sensitivity to these issues in 2020. But ultimately, if it means that for these talented superstars that they get more TV time and they're used properly, then I'm all for it. Because every single person in this stable, if it's Shelton Benjamin, if it's Bobby Lashley, if it's Apollo Crews, has been misused, underappreciated, and underused for the longest time by WWE. What has Shelton Benjamin done since he came back to WWE in 2016 as part of the brand split? Well, what's he done? He teamed with Chad Gable for a bit. That fell on its face. He looked around a lot last year. He had these segments where he didn't answer anything and he rolled his eyes. He then made short jokes, which then to Chad Gable, which then turned into the abomination gimmick that is Shorty G. So what has Shelton Benjamin done since he come back? And he's one of the greatest in-ring performers in WWE history. You look at his athleticism, his moments that he had in the mid-2000s. The first couple of Money in the Bank ladder matches were all about Shelton Benjamin. I think of him running up the ladder at WrestleMania 21. I think of him jumping off the ladder to the outside at WrestleMania 22. Shelton Benjamin was the guy when it comes to athleticism. He's got the iconic springboard into the Sweet Chin Music by Shawn Michaels in Raw in the mid-2000s. That's what people remember Shelton Benjamin for. That's why people were so excited when Shelton Benjamin came back in 2016. But what's he done? Nothing. He's been poorly booked, he's been mismanaged, and he's been underutilized, and that's it. So to get him back on Raw, I think maybe the most memorable thing is he had the interaction with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble this year. That was the best thing that he's done, and the most entertaining thing that he's done. And even that, he was eliminated in about 30-40 seconds. So to have him actually being used again, great. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Now, this United States Championship run by Apollo Crews is the most he's ever done since being on the WWE main roster. Of course, he had good matches in NXT and was very relevant in NXT. There was a lot of hype about him when he came to the main roster, again, as part of the brand split in 2016, but nothing. Just absolutely nothing. He was a bit of a star on SmackDown when SmackDown, the rosters first split, but that ended very quickly, and it was very apparent that Vince McMahon gave up on him. That's why he was part of the Titus Worldwide stable with Titus O'Neil and Dana Brooke. I mean, talk about a dead gimmick there. I mean, you're just dead in the water, aren't you? So this is the most that Apollo Crews has done, the most relevant he's felt in the longest time. We've seen the benefits of having Bobby Lashley recently, having MVP in his corner, because Bobby Lashley is as relevant and as dominant as he has been since he returned to WWE as well. Because let's face it, the horrible creative that Bobby Lashley has been given since he returned to WWE is just, I mean, I've talked about the abomination of the Shorty G gimmick. Some of the gimmicks that he has been given since he returned have just been horrific. Absolutely horrific. This is a former guy who was the big guy in Impact Wrestling. And I'm not saying, oh, he's a big guy in Impact Wrestling, he needs to be big in WWE. That's not the case, obviously. But I'm saying he was a former ECW champion in WWE. He was being groomed to be a world champion in WWE before he left in 2007. I thought, okay, Bobby Lashley's going to get the run he deserves. We're going to see the Brock Lesnar-Bobby Lashley match, all of this stuff. And just the horrible creative that he got. The Lana and Rusev storyline and the wedding and the divorce court, just, flexing his glutes with Lio Rush, which just screamed at Vince McMahon. I could almost hear him laughing in gorilla position when he was doing it. That was horrific. Teaming with Constable Corbin, because that's going to get you over, pal. So you felt really sorry for him, and so it's just good to see him actually doing something of substance finally. Because I mentioned before, he's like 45, 44, 45. The window's closing. He looks great, and he looks younger than he is, but he's still 44, 45. You need to do something with him now. So I'm glad to see that WWE are doing that. And I can already hear the verbiage that they're going to say when this stable comes together. I hate it when they say in storyline, oh, we've been held back, we've been underutilized, etc., etc. Because to me, that's just WWE admitting their mistakes and admitting their failures creatively. And just because you have admitted it, and just because you admit that you've messed these guys around and not done as good as you could have done, it doesn't make it okay or make it excusable. Oh yeah, we're admitting these guys have been just treated horribly from a creative point of view, or the gimmicks they've had to do, or the matches that they've had to do have been horrible. It doesn't make it okay. What makes it okay is that they're finally using them. So I'm all for it. I'd like to see the heel turn. I think Apollo Crews as a heel would be interesting, because even though now he's been, improving as a babyface, I do just find him very flat and very bland and very generic as a babyface. His promos still aren't great. They've got better, but they're just very generic 101 babyface promos still at the moment. And just, that was the biggest criticism for him for the longest time, is just he was always smiling. Everyone was, what are you smiling about, Apollo? You're losing. You're losing and you're not on TV. Why are you so happy? Maybe just happy just to be on the show. But it'll be interesting to see him turn heel. I'd like to see it. When he used the ropes for leverage, he kind of it was a bit of a heel celebration of I got you. I like that. That was different. So I'd love to see this stable. I'd like to see Apollo Crews turn heel, and the more work that MVP can do, the better, because he has been fantastic so far in 2020. But of course, this is just one man's opinion. What do you think? Do you think that Apollo Crews is going to turn heel? Do you think we're going to see a stable of Apollo Crews, of Shelton Benjamin, of MVP and Bobby Lashley? Would you like to see it? Was there anyone else you'd like to see included in this stable? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that in a few seconds at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well. All the links are on the screen right now. At Twitter, at 365Wrestle, at Wrestle News 365 on Facebook or Instagram, so be sure to give us a follow there. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today, and I'll speak with you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.